When we think about what makes a computer chip fast, we talk about logic, speed, billions and billions of transistors. But what if I told you that the thing that really causes most chips to fail has almost nothing to do with any of that? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on a hidden foundation that, if it goes wrong, makes all that brilliant engineering, well, totally useless. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. This statement completely flips the script on what we think we know. We spend so much time debugging code and checking logic, but a lot of the time, the real villain is much, much simpler. It's basically a delivery problem. And that's the core mystery we're going to unravel today. So if the challenge is getting power from point A to point B, what's the system that's actually in charge of that whole journey? Well, that brings us right to the heart of the matter, the power delivery network. Okay, so the power delivery network, or PDN for short, is way more than just a wire. You got to think of it like the circulatory system for a chip. It's this incredibly complex, multi-stage highway that has one job: deliver the lifeblood, electrical power, from the outside world to every single microscopic transistor doing the work on the inside. And man, this shows you just how intense that journey really is. Power starts out at a source, say a battery. It then gets cleaned up by a regulator, has to travel across the main circuit board, then into the chip's little housing or package, and then it has to navigate this super dense power grid on the chip itself, just to finally reach one transistor. If there's a hiccup at any one of these 6 stops, the final destination gets absolutely nothing. All right, so we see the path power has to take, but here's the kicker. Actually delivering that power perfectly is one of the single biggest headaches in modern chip design. It's this constant battle against the laws of physics, and engineers are always up against 4 major threats. So what are these invisible enemies anyway? Let's go ahead and meet the 4 main culprits that can totally wreck a chip's power network, messing with its speed, its stability, and even how long it'll last. First on our list is something called IR drop. Look, every single wire, no matter how small, has a little bit of resistance. You can think of it like friction for electricity. So as all that current is flowing through, it loses a little bit of voltage along the way. That means a transistor that's far away from the power source gets a weaker supply, and that makes it switch slower. This is what can cause performance problems. You know that one part of an app that just always seems to lag? Yeah, this could be why. Culprit number 2 is a problem that honestly we created ourselves. It's our endless demand for more and more powerful chips. As we cram billions of transistors into a teeny tiny space, the need for current just skyrockets. It's kind of like trying to supply water to an entire city through one little pipe. This massive power density puts an unbelievable strain on the PDN, making it a huge challenge to give stable power to everything at the same time. All that intense current leads us to our third threat, reliability. Now, this is wild. Imagine a river of electrons flowing so hard through a tiny metal wire that it literally starts knocking atoms out of the way. That's a real thing. It's called electromigration, and it physically wears down the chip's pathways, creating little cracks and shorts. Ever wonder why your old phone gets slower and just glitchier over time? This physical decay is a big reason. The chip is literally aging and falling apart from the inside. And finally, our fourth culprit, dynamic noise. Picture millions of transistors all screaming for power at the exact same microsecond. This causes the supply voltage to dip and spike like crazy. It's just like when you turn on a massive AC unit and the lights in your house flicker for a second. Now imagine that happening millions of times per second inside your chip. This noise can make a transistor flip when it shouldn't, leading to those totally random, infuriating app crashes that seem to come out of nowhere. Okay, I get it. That was a whole lot of technical jargon. So let's make this way, way simpler. Let's use a fantastic analogy that I think will make this whole thing just click. Just think of the whole power delivery network as a big water pipeline system. It's that simple. Voltage? That's just water pressure. Current? That's the amount of water flowing. The chip's wires? Those are the pipes. And that IR drop we were talking about? That's just the pressure drop you get from friction and a really long pipe. If the pressure at the end gets too low, the faucet just trickles out water. It's the exact same idea in a chip. If the voltage drops too low, performance just trickles. So, after looking at this whole journey of power and all the crazy challenges it faces, we can come to a really, really important conclusion about what the PDN truly is. It's not just another system on the chip. It is the fundamental backbone, period. Without a strong, stable, and really well-designed power network, even the most advanced, brilliant processor in the world is just a fancy rock. It gives the chip the structure and the energy it needs for anything else to even happen.
So this brings us to the big question, right? As we keep pushing for faster, smaller, more powerful tech, everything from crazy AI chips to the phone in your pocket, the stress on this power backbone is only going to get more and more intense. It really means that the success of all future innovation doesn't just hang on clever logic, it hangs on whether we can solve these really fundamental power delivery problems first.
So, now we know the what and the why. We get how critical the power grid is, and we've met the villains trying to tear it down. So the next logical question is, how do we fight back? Well, join us in our next explainer, where we're going to dive into all the ingenious strategies engineers use to build a power grid that's tough enough for the future. Thanks for joining me.